What's up everyone? Jon Rettinger here with the series I like to call Ask the Buffalo, where you can ask me anything you want from the world of tech and even my personal life. These questions are not screened beforehand, so they are coming right from my mind, out my face hole, and onto your screen. You can ask questions one of two ways. We put up a post on TechnoBuffalo.com and you can ask your question there in the comments. Otherwise, you can send a message to @TechnoBuffalo with the hashtag AskTheBee, and you can ask whatever you like. These are going to be weekly segments, and we're going to answer, 8 to 10 questions depending on the answer. So if you see me glance rightwards, because I got the questions over there, let's go ahead and get started. The first question comes from the website and is from user Lam06. Do you think the iPhone 5 will come out in June or July? Should I wait to get the iPhone 4? I can't wait. Out of all the questions that I get, this is probably one of the most popular. Should I buy the iPhone? Should I not buy the iPhone? And it seems to be true with every single Apple product. They generally have about a year release cycle, so if you don't get it in that first 3 months, in the back of your mind, if you're a nerd, you're probably thinking a new one's coming out. Traditionally, Apple's release cycle has been every June. We've seen a new iPhone announced since 2007 at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference. However, if rumors are to be believed, it looks like we might finally be breaking that tradition, and we might actually see the iPhone 5 announced in September for a release in the late September, early November timeframe, certainly before the holidays come around in the US. So should you wait? If you have to have a new phone, if your phone is shattered into a million tiny phone pieces, then don't wait. If you have a phone that works and you just want one because it's fun, shiny, new, and now it comes in white, then your best bet is going to be to wait until launch day, get in line, and get one of the new iPhone 5 or the iPhone 4S. Who knows what they're going to call it. All right, so the next question comes also from the website. This is Matt Kurzinski. Hey, John. With all the different phone unboxing you do, with the majority being Android, is there really anything dramatically distinguishing between them? Or do they all seem to run together after a while? That's a very good question. So TechnoBuffalo, we get our hands on almost every Android phone out, and oftentimes I can do those unboxings with my eyes closed. So check it out. We've got a 4.3-inch screen with a WVGA resolution of 800 by 400. We've got 4 capacitive buttons at the bottom. We've got your menu button, your home button, your back button, your search button. On the left-hand side, we've got a volume rocker. On the right-hand side, we've got your power and lock switch. Top, 3.5mm headset jack, and on the top and bottom, we've got dual noise-canceling microphones. On the back, we've got an 8-megapixel shooter that can shoot video in 720p and a front-facing camera that can shoot pictures in 1.3 megapixels. The fact is, a lot of these phones look exactly the same and have exactly the same specs, with very little distinguishing factors to them. So they do tend to blend together when you see so many of them. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy doing them. I'm a huge phone nerd. Before I started doing these videos, I used to go out and try and buy every phone that I could, and then I'd use them for a couple months, and I'd sell them on eBay or Craigslist, and I'd lose about $100, and I'd buy something new. I love these phones. And even though they all do kind of blend together, it doesn't take away from the excitement of trying something new. However, I do love when there's a phone that tries to break from that traditional form factor. Something like the Kyocera Echo. It might not be a phone that I would want to use on an everyday basis, but I love the fact that it exists and it's new. The HP Veer, it's something tiny and small we haven't seen before, it's something unique. So I love when these phone companies innovate. The Sony Ericsson Xperia Play is another example. It's cool to have a gamepad there, especially if you want to get your emulator on. You can rock some Super Nintendo, a lot of fun. They do blend together, but I like when things are a little bit different as well. It spices up the phone flavor, if you will. And that was my spicy hands. All right, let's go to the next question. This one comes from Dahlia. What kind of kid were you in high school? Nerdy. I've always been on the nerdy side of things. I played sports, although very poorly in high school. You are talking to a third-string quarterback right here who got in, I believe, 2 games. So I played a little bit of football. I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I like to say I'm 5'10", but I'm really like 5'9"-ish. I don't weigh that much, maybe $165. So I was never giant. I'm from Southern California, and there were some big kids. I remember, I think it was probably the first game I ever got in. I went back to throw a pass, and I got sacked by a guy that looked like a house. But that's more information than you asked for. I was nerdy. I tried to be nice sometimes, certainly in high school. you're not always as nice as you want to be. If I could go back, I would try and be much nicer to everyone. High school I didn't realize how hard high school can be for a lot of people, so try and be nicer. That's my general bit of advice. All right, so the next question comes from Petroian. How do you get to naming TechnoBuffalo? I think he's asking, how did I name TechnoBuffalo? The answer that I like to say is I did my undergraduate, went to university if you're outside the US, from the University of Rochester in upstate New York, right near Buffalo. But the real answer is it was an available URL. I wanted to have techno in the name, and I wanted a strong identity, a strong iconography. And the Buffalo I kind of liked. It was strong, you knew what it was. And eventually I want to branch out the TechnoBuffalo name, so I don't want it to just be consumer electronic. I like to have a tablet focused site. I like to even have a car focused site at some point. And I want to use that same Buffalo name. We spent so long sort of branding it. I wanted to have something that would be identifiable. So that is your long answer to your question. I tend to do that. The next question comes from Magic Geek Magic. How would I be able to get a job like yours? I've said this many times. I wake up with a huge smile on my face every day because I get to live my dream. I get to talk about technology for a living. Now, there's some days that are hard and I don't always enjoy it every day. But the fact that I get to do this for a job, and the fact that you guys in the audience support me enough to give me the opportunity to do this for a job, means more to me than I could ever communicate, more than any giveaway could ever show. You guys have just let me live my dream. I got to do this about 90% because of luck. I had good timing. I was one of the first tech guys on YouTube that were doing this. There were a few that sort of paved the way. Guys like Chris Perillo, for example, was sort of doing the tech TV thing beforehand. And they really sort of paved the way. But I was one of the early guys, at least, on YouTube. Right now, it's a very crowded field, and it's hard to sort of get in and get noticed. We've done a whole series of advice videos on TechnoBuffalo, on advice for aspiring YouTubers, and how to get noticed and how to get products. The best advice that I can give is find your own voice. Be unique, show your personality, brand yourself. You don't have to go out and spend all the money for products. You can talk about trends. You can take advantage of YouTube search functionality and tagging to get your videos to come up. Really, the best advice that I can give, though, again, is just to be yourself and let your personality try and come through in your videos. Like, you watch my videos and you know that guy's a nerd, and it's true. All right, so the next question comes from Carlos Baba. Jon, what are your thoughts on the next Android ice cream sandwich? From what you know about it, will it be a key upgrade for users? If you saw my Android rant, I ranted about Android being fragmented. Ice cream sandwich is gonna bring the tablet world, the phone world together in harmony. There you go, synergy. Finally, hopefully we're going to see a unified platform. Hopefully there'll be carrier support. They claim that there would be. So yes, ice cream sandwich should unify the platform. That should greatly reduce fragmentation, which should be awesome for developers, put better apps on your phones, and should make it a little bit easier for some of the other software developers. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This one comes from Twitter, from Scavin Metzden. What do you think mobile phones can do by 2020? Hashtag AskTheBee. Well, if you look at trends for mobile phones right now, there are kind of a couple cool things going on. First, I think we're going to see Pico projectors in everything, tiny mini projectors that you can show. Hopefully at that point, it'll be full 1080p video on as big a screen as you want. You can turn your phone into a full 55-inch flat screen. I guess it'd be super flat if your wall is. Display, I think that's something we're definitely going to see. 3D is really becoming more and more popular. By then, hopefully, we'll have some sort of glasses-free, non-headache-inducing 3D technology. Certainly, we'll see faster and faster processors. We'll see quad-core, octa-core, whatever, 16-core. What comes after that? 32-core chips. Just going to be faster and faster on more RAM and more RAM. What I hope that we see, though, is better battery technology. Battery hasn't always caught up to the phone business. So hopefully that will change. And bigger screens. We'll have 10-inch phones, 20-inch phones. You'll have to have a briefcase to carry around your phones like you're Zach Morris again. The next question, this is the last one, comes from Punkypon ZOR. This one's also on Twitter. I did an extra head nod for emphasis. Do you think Android OS would be less laggy with future updates? Had a Thunderbolt and had some issues with it freezing. Android OS, I don't think is very laggy. I think oftentimes what you see with Android, because it's not vertically integrated, meaning Google doesn't make all the hardware and the software, is oftentimes the software is not optimized to take advantage of the hardware. And your particular Thunderbolt might have been one of those cases. I know that HTC has issued a few updates, with Verizon to sort of speed up that process. I don't think Android is very laggy. I think oftentimes you have to do a bit of application and resource management to get the fastest experience possible. Some people root their devices and put on custom ROMs, but if you just want to deal with a stock phone, I think Android can generally be pretty quick. Sometimes people think it can be laggy in the browser, and oftentimes that's because Flash is on, but with Flash 10.3 now, that should reduce it. Just turn Flash off. Oftentimes that will really improve the lagginess, pinch to zoom especially, with your browsers. So hope you guys enjoyed. This was a long-winded Ask the Buffalo where I answer any kind of questions. So we talked about phones, we talked a little bit about tablets, touched on them, we talked about how big a nerd I was in high school. We got a lot more fun stuff coming up, so stay tuned. Be sure to ask your questions, anything you want. Some of them I might not answer, but all these answers just come barreling out of my head. I am Jon Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo, and I'm pointing again for emphasis. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.